Doug? Is there a rift between the shows?
There's no rift.
What
There's
happened?
No rift.
Okay.
I think people don't understand sarcasm. I think this despite, or is it in spite of or despite? I don't know. The obvious sarcasm. You tell me, Dan. You're much
in spite of.
In spite of the obvious sarcasm in our segment, in which Adam Klug, my producer extraordinaire, we lifted the buy or sell, which I think PTI is most known for it, and we brought up that McLovin had used it, and I asked him if he had credited us. There was obvious sarcasm.
Oh, okay.
Because this really comes from. Here's, I think, the rule: if you try a new segment and everybody automatically knows you stole it from somebody else, like some original idea, then you got to give it credit. Otherwise, you don't have to credit anybody, because none of us are reinventing the wheel. We're all borrowing things from people we've seen previously.
Yeah, and I think it was Around the Horn that does buy or sell. I think they invented it, of course.
Yes.
So.
yes, and they invented Around the Horn,
yes,
which
they
was
did.
Not a saying before Around the Horn.
Exactly. And pardon the interruption. Nobody else has ever said pardon the interruption. Now, were you salty about a joke I made inadvertently? Because I got wind of that maybe you were a little sensitive about the credit card joke, which I didn't know I was making a joke at the time.
See, what I said was, I thought you knew what you were doing, because I think that highly of your ability to see. That's where I hear the laugh. I know you weren't. You'd be talking about inadvertently. Come on, dude. It was obvious. Was I salty about it? No. I was more interested in the fact that you didn't wink at me, knowing what you had done when you did it.
I didn't know, Doug.
Oh, stop it, Dan.
I didn't. You're giving me way too much credit. Okay, let me take a vote with the Danettes, because these guys are always honest. Seton, do you think I knew what I was doing with Doug Gottlieb with the credit card reference?
Absolutely not.
All right. Paulie.
I truly don't think so, because of your reaction when Doug brought it up. You're like, oh, and the look on your face.
Fritzy.
I do not think that was a planned
McLovin.
Consciously, maybe no, but I think subconsciously the brain was working on a joke.
McLovin, you're correct.
You went with some line about stealing with the credit card. It was just too. It wasn't even under the surface there. Look, I'm not bothered by it. I'm a big boy. It was 20 years ago. I've lived, learned, grown up, and I can take a chop busting like the rest of us.
But I like a cheap shot, Doug. But in that case, I didn't want to take a cheap shot at you, because I enjoyed the dinner. I was glad you came in. I
enjoyed the counsel, because I had asked you about another supposed cheap shot that I didn't think was a cheap shot that you thought was a cheap shot, and I will choose to avoid in the future. So, maybe I overestimated your ability to slide something in there. And then act like what? Me? What? It was you know what it was? It was like, I thought it was like the Grayson Allen trip, the second Grayson Allen trip, which is one of the great no-look trips of all time. Because not only did he trip Xavier Rathan Mays, but then he went and helped him up. Like, oh, what happened there? Sorry, dude, my bad.
Do you agree with what J.J. Redick said, that the media goes out of its way to kind of scrutinize the white Duke basketball player?
Yes. On the other hand, it doesn't. But let's not. That sounds like an excuse for Grayson Allen. Like, I thought that there was some. We were trying some. Like Pat Forty wrote an article about, he's the next Duke you could hate. I thought that was unfair. On the other hand, then he goes and trips two different dudes and gets caught on TV. Like, sorry, we're not. Like, even Mike Krzyzewski, he's like, well, this is a big story basically because it's Duke. No, it's not, because no other star player in college basketball has tripped a dude, let alone tripped two dudes. Like, people went after Chris Paul when he hit. Who'd he hit in the nuts? Julius Hodge in the nuts, right?
Yes.
Okay,
NC
it became
State.
a big thing.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't because he played at Wake Forest, or maybe it's because he's Chris Paul, but he hit a kid in the nuts.
We like to call it. We call it the groin on the show.
The family jewels, the kibbles and the bits area.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The junk. Anyway,
but you have to be good enough to get to a certain level that you're hated at Duke, though. Like there's a compliment in there, even though it's
yes.
Because see, I don't think J.J. Redick was hateable by people. I just think he was so good that people disliked him. Leitner people hated. Grayson Allen's given you a reason to dislike him for being a dirty player.
Right, and Leitner and Don McLean were the same guy in different coasts, where they stepped on guys, they elbowed guys. They were, but they were great players, and so they fed off that. JJ fed. I thought JJ's was really, it was the Maryland fans really, and he loved it. He fed off it, and he ended up becoming a great player in college because of it. And I think it was a bit of a media creation with Grayson Allen. But then Grayson Allen lived down to a reputation there, the Leitner reputation, by tripping two different players. Like, it happened. It happened twice. He did it on purpose. Let's just deal with what he has done and try and take Duke out of it. And what would you do with any other star in college basketball?
He's Doug Gottlieb from CBS Sports. There is no rift between the two shows.
No, we're good. We are as good can be. And I will gladly pick up the tab next time we go out to dinner with my own credit card.
I'll bring mine as backup just in case they don't accept yours.
I'll take the free meal, by the way. I'm not reaching for mine.
Can you bench more than Ryan Russillo is really what I want to know, Doug.
No. But Ryan, but you know, but Russillo, on the other hand,
we gotta go.
I'm not sure he's flexible enough to scratch any part of his back. That's the only other thing.
Thank you, Doug. That's Doug Gottlieb, CBS Sports.